What's up, nerds? How are you doing? It's Chris and Joe from Everything Nerdy, and today is our weekly catch-up, the show where we talk about everything nerdy, obviously. We also look at Easter eggs and anything about films and Marvel, DC, Image, Dark Horse, anything in the nerdy universe that's coming up or relevant this week. Let's go.
This has been such a big week for Marvel, Chris, and we know that a lot of stuff for Phase 4 has been released. We're going to chat about that later. But also something quite big is The Marvels was released. It says that it's going to be called The Marvels rather than Captain Marvel 2, and that's caused a bit of controversy as far as I can see. I was reading an article the other day, actually, and it was saying about how someone thinks that Brie Larson is the reason that it's changed to The Marvels. It's quite an interesting article. They're talking about how they don't feel like she was strong enough in the first movie for it to be a Captain Marvel 2. And for me, I loved Captain Marvel. I thought it was a fantastic movie. I think it's second behind Black Panther for highest grossing single film.
Oh, okay, cool.
I'm pretty sure that's correct. So it shows that she's definitely got the kind of means to do that. Obviously, people wouldn't have known that until they saw the movie, but...
Yeah, I think as well. I think it's a bit weird because there's a lot of people who hate Brie Larson as Captain Marvel. Like a lot of people. When I go onto TikTok, there are so many people that have an issue with Brie Larson as Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe there is truth to that. Maybe that it is because Marvel just didn't like the fact, or thought people were going to boycott the second movie because of her. I really hope not. I really hope it's because it's all story based, with like Monica Rambeau coming in. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think it's quite a balanced article as well because the writer was talking about how we look at Ant-Man and the Wasp, and we look at Paul Rudd's performance in Ant-Man. It's fantastic. Paul Rudd can't go wrong. He is the never-aging, never-failing actor. But they're talking about how they didn't change Ant-Man to Ant-Man and the Wasp because Paul Rudd couldn't hold his own in his movie. They changed it because it is most relevant to the kind of the story arc. So I think that makes sense with this as well because obviously we've got Monica Rambeau, we've got Ms. Marvel as well coming into it, and that's really exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited for the film. I'm so glad they announced it, that it was called The Marvels. There's a couple of reasons. Mainly just because of Monica Rambeau and Kamala Khan. So again, I like Brie Larson in Captain Marvel. It's not one of my favourite films, but I can still understand that it's a good film and it fit well in Phase 3. But for me, Kamala Khan's like one of the most exciting new heroes that are coming to our screen. And we already know that she's coming. It's not like we've got to wait for some sort of end credit scene or anything like that. Like she's getting her own series at Disney+.
Yeah.
Monica Rambeau as well. She let slip, well, I don't know if she let slip, but she let slip what her superhero name was going to be called. So I've got a quote here from her. She was on the Jimmy Kimmel show, and he asked her, like, what does Monica Rambeau do? Like, what's her powers? And she said that in the comics, Monica can absorb energy all across the electromagnetic spectrum. And she has, like, 3 names, and it's like pulsar, photon, and spectrum in the comics, and the fact that she's just used the word spectrum in describing it's got me just thinking. It's got me thinking that it's spectrum is the way. And so if people are out there and they collect comics and they're trying to invest in comics, then just based off this, I think it might be worth picking up Mighty Avengers #1, which is her first appearance as Spectrum. Which I think would be really cool. So if you're into comics, great, do it. If not, just go, oh, cool, Spectrum. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to it a lot. There was one interesting thing I want to bring up though, Joe, and that is, so I'm into comics, I like my comics. They've just released The Marvels as a comic book, right? So we've got the film just announced as The Marvels, and then legitimately a few weeks ago, The Marvels #1 just got released, right? But I've got it here. So I don't know if you can see that. But there's Marvels #1. You'll notice on the front, there's no Captain Marvel, there's no Kamala Khan, there's no Monica Rambeau. But I just find it so interesting that Marvel have released a comic book called The Marvels, and not included any of those three that are appearing in the massive MCU film, The Marvels. Very funny, very weird. I'm hoping that there's something connected with this comic, purely because I now own it, so that'd be nice. But yeah, I find it weird. So when Falcon and the Winter Soldier got released, they started up a new series of the US Agent, which is spoilers, big spoilers for that. But that's something that John Walker then ends up being the US Agent. That's who he is in the comic books. They're releasing a new Loki just before Loki's released on Disney+. And the same thing with Shang-Chi. They released Shang-Chi #1 just before a trailer was dropped for the film. So they're all kind of connected, and so my little like conspiracy theory is that this comic has to be connected at some point to the Marvel's MCU.
Yeah, definitely. It's such a weird release if it's not, if you get what I mean. It's almost like that kind of like, we can't really trust what's coming out if this is true. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like I found a pattern, and if the pattern doesn't now carry on as the pattern, it's going to annoy me because I've kind of like based it all off on this. But we'll see. I'm excited. It looks like a really good film. We've got so much before that as well in the whole of the I was going to say the MP4, like as in like Marvel Phase 4, but that's a gun. So we're not going to talk about that. Did you want to say anything else about the Marvels, Joe?
Yeah, I'm just really excited about it. I think, like you said, Ms. Marvel is such an exciting character. I think it's one of the most exciting characters, like you said, that we've had for so long. And seeing how that will fit into the movie, how the three will work well together, I think that's going to be really interesting to see. How they're going to bring that in, because obviously we've seen Brie Larson before, we've seen Captain Marvel, but we haven't seen Ms. Marvel yet. We've seen Monica Rambeau obviously in WandaVision, but this is going to be the first for Ms. Marvel, so it's going to have to be quite a big impact. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the actor can bring to that. Yeah,
I'm excited for that, especially because like Captain Marvel is like the second most powerful hero we've encountered in the MCU. So it's almost like, what can the other two bring? Like I know they have different powers, but there's a few just sort of interesting things I'd like to see. Like, well, what's going to be strong enough that Captain Marvel can't do it on her own? You know?
Yeah.
And also a little interesting thing is that Kamala Khan, right? And people are going to just hate on this, right? But Kamala Khan is technically an Inhuman.
Yeah.
So So I don't know if you saw this, but obviously there was an Inhuman series a while back, which everyone's going to think I've got really bad taste, but I actually really enjoyed it. And I've got my lockjaw pop just out of shot here. Like, I love the Inhumans. And so is this going to be an opportunity for Marvel to just slide in the Inhumans into the MCU, which no one's talking about. No one's talking about the Inhumans arriving in the MCU. So I'm very, very, very excited for this film. And hopefully it connects with the comic. So yeah, that'll be exciting too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be great.
So leading on from the Marvels, we're going to look at Phase 4, not MP4. Like I said earlier, we're not going to call it that at all. So I don't know why I keep repeating that. Marvel Phase 4 is what we're looking at, and I'm excited for Phase 4. In the whole grand scheme of things, every phase is like the most important. So Phase 1 was obviously like make or break it. So they had to make Phase 1 really good, otherwise they weren't making any more movies. Phase 2 was like the difficult Marvel phase, which I think you can see. I think if there's any sort of like really bad movies, I'm just talking at Thor Dark World here, but if there's any film that people don't like, it's in Phase 2. Phase 3 was the end of the arc, the end of the whole Infinity Saga, which was incredible. It was so good. And now Phase 4 is the start of a new saga, so they're kind of starting again. And so I think it's really important now as they start to introduce loads more characters. We have so many more heroes that are kind of on their way out. Like, they've been playing these characters for like 10 years, some of them. And so I think they're going to start introducing new main heroes into like the Avengers slot, which I think is going to be risky. Like, you know, who's going to replace Iron Man? Who's replacing Captain America? Obviously, we've seen that. Who's replacing Captain America? But all of these heroes now have to come together and be just as lovable or just as relatable as each other. So we have the Marvels, we have so many. I'm going to go through the list. So we've got the Eternals, Shang-Chi and Legend of the Ten Rings, Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, Spider-Man 3, No Way Home, Thor, Love and Thunder, Black Panther 2, Wakanda Forever, the Marvels, Ant-Man and the Quantumania, Ant-Man and the Wasp and the Quantumania, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and then TV shows, we've got Falcon, Winter Soldier, WandaVision, Loki, What If, Hawkeye, and Miss Marvel. So we have a lot going on, and I'm just hoping that they managed to do it. So far, so good. I mean, there are so many good things about Marvel right now. WandaVision was a sitcom. Like, they managed to make a genre within a genre. They did the buddy cop stuff with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, like Starsky and Hutch, but Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which was brilliant. I think I love that. Almost like Bad Boys, like they didn't like each other at the start and then they fell in love with each other. It was really good and really, really enjoyed it. And now Loki's coming out in June, and I'm getting a feeling of like, I don't know if you've seen this, Joe, but like The Mentalist or Lied to Me or like Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
That sort of vibe where he's there, he's a time cop and he's trying to solve these mysteries for them and like put the timeline back together, which is mad. Like the whole genre within a genre stuff just shows how well Marvel are doing it right now. And so I'm excited for Phase 4. I think it's going to be the best one yet. I think the plot's going to be amazing. They've already littered in so many Easter eggs and stuff for fans just to get their teeth into with WandaVision, and Falcon and the Winter Soldier as well had some of the more exciting ones for me with the drop of Madripoor. Did you see that?
I've got to hold my hands up, Chris. I'm only 3 episodes in to Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I'm sorry. Wow. I know I failed you. But...
Wow. It's interesting you say that though, because not many people are getting through it. Not as many people are getting through Falcon and the Winter Soldier compared to WandaVision. And I was interested about that. So we did a poll on the TikTok. I know you saw that. But it was 50-50 pretty much. And I think Falcon and the Winter Soldier won.
Oh, wow.
But I, for some reason, everyone I speak to is like, well, WandaVision was better or easier to watch, whereas Falcon and the Winter Soldier was quite intense. So you're forgiven, Joe. You're forgiven. But they go to a place called Madripoor, which is known for mutants and X-Men, as well as many other things. And they put something up on their website. Marvel did something on their website, Welcome to Madripoor. And there were codes hidden in the TV series where if you typed them into Welcome to Madripoor, it would come up with some code names. And 2 code names came up. One was Mystique, which we know from X-Men. Second was Daken, who is Wolverine's son. And I've got first appearance Daken, sorry, I just showed off there. But those 2 would be insane in the MCU. And so already we've got Easter eggs to hold on to. Whether it's going to be the same thing as what happened in WandaVision, where the engineer doesn't turn out to be from the Fantastic Four, which really upset me that Reed Richards did not make an appearance. And for me as well, the end of Phase 4, here's my shout, here's my prediction of the end of Phase 4. Because Fantastic Four is the end of that film, Doctor Doom is one of the strongest villains in the whole of the MCU. And I think they're going to end on a twist or a cliffhanger coming out of like Secret Invasion. And I think we're going to find Doctor Doom's involved at some point as a baddie. He can be a goodie as well, but I'm thinking he's going to be a villain in this. So maybe he controls the Kree. I don't know. I'm excited. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking about Phase 4.
I think that's incredible. I think it's an exciting time because I don't think there's been a phase like this since Phase 1 where it's kind of new territory. So you've got Phase 1, you've got the individual films, and it's that kind of like testing out the waters. And then obviously we had the Avengers, and with the Avengers being kind of like the main focus of what the other films were building towards, we became used to this kind of solo films, linking in with spoilers to the main films. And these solo films were all building towards these massive Avengers films. But we look at Phase 4, and we think, well, we've got lots of solo films again, we've got the solo series, and obviously, like you said, we're being introduced to all these people. Does it have a potential to flop because it's post Phase 3?
I think so. I think there is a potential. You're introducing so many new characters, like the backlash on, let's use Brie Larson. So the backlash on Captain Marvel, not Brie Larson, she's great as a human being, but the character Captain Marvel got so much hate on. People didn't like her because they thought she was arrogant, whatever. So they almost like rejected her as a character. If they do that with like Kamala Khan, or any of the newer characters that are going to be coming in, then that's a real issue. Because if they're trying to use them as their core, there might be some serious trouble going on. But I think it's just so strong. I think even like just the Marvel core is so strong. We'll watch anything. Like I'll watch anything that Marvel put out right now because it is just that good.
They're just amazing at doing those kind of things. I remember when we were all looking for the name of the last film and they posted the picture. Do you remember that? And you had to find out the end game within the picture. And it's just, I always feel like Marvel are those people who have planned, like these are the kind of things that have been in their plans for like 6+, 8+, 10+ years.
Feels like it. It feels like it.
They've mapped this out until the end. I don't think we've ever seen a movie franchise or a family kind of franchise of movies ever like this before. And I think it'll probably go down as the greatest kind of run of films ever. I know a lot of people are like, hero films, superhero films, we can take it or leave it. But if you enjoy that kind of film, you can't deny this has to be one of the best series of films in existence. Not because of individual merit, even though they've all got their own individual merits, but because of the way they're woven into each other.
Yeah, 100% agree. Like, even if it's not the greatest, it's the first. It's the first universe as big as this. DC have got their, what do they call it? It's like CB Universe or something.
Yeah.
DC have got their own like universe when it comes to TV shows. You got the Flashverse, Arrowverse, Spider-Girl-verse, Legends of Tomorrow. They've got all of that, which is brilliant, and it worked really well. But Marvel have just gone, yeah, that's really good as a TV series. We're going to make them into movies, and put way more money into them. And you can see the difference in quality just with how much money they've spent. And now Marvel are moving back into TV shows and linking them with the movies, which I think DC did first with a Flash crossover. So from the Justice League, Flash was in an episode with the TV series Flash. Yeah. Because of like multiverses, different Earths, which I thought was really cool, but they're not the same world. So they've in doing so, they've gone, right, well, this is the movie universe, this is the TV series universe. And Marvel have gone, we don't like that idea. We want TV series universe and Marvel to be one huge one, which I think is so much better, because if you like the Flash of the TV series, you might not like the Flash of the movie quite as much. You might want to invest more in that person's character who you've been feeling really close to. And so the same with this, if they had like a different Scarlet Witch, for example, in WandaVision, I don't think it'd be anywhere as good. No. So I'm with you. I think this could be incredible, but I think there's just a small chance it could flop, and flop in the sense of Marvel, not actually flop, like the Green Lantern movie, but like, which we're not talking on this show. But the Marvel have just so much like backup, almost like respect, that they could just mess up this phase and regain it with the next one. Like Thor Dark World. People just tend to forget about that movie as a part of the MCU. Yeah,
I think the potential for what they can do, because of the fact that they're all in the same universe in terms of like, what I'm trying to say is, I would love one day to see Daredevil, Punisher, brought into this MCU, and there is definitely the potential for that, but it's that hard crossover between the Netflix kind of Marvel shows, which were very dark, incredible. Probably my favourite series of superhero kind of series, but very, very dark compared to the kind of much lighter MCU at times. Obviously, it has its dark moments, but the much lighter MCU at times. But I would love to see those characters get brought in some kind of capacity.
Yeah, that'd be great. I mean, it's like the elephant in the room. It's like the skeleton in the closet is all of those TV series that happened on Netflix, and will they link them? Will they say they're canon? Canon isn't like the MCU universe, not. So I hope so. Daredevil is such an incredible portrayal of Daredevil.
Absolutely.
And if they brought in a new actor for Daredevil, it'd be similar to the DC stuff, where I'd be like...
It taints it, doesn't it? It really does. Like, I wasn't a fan of Ezra Miller, like, from the start, because I'd fallen in love with Grant Gustin's Flash, the lightheartedness. I feel like if you become attached to a character, to an actor, because that's what the actors are meant to do, they're meant to make you attached to their portrayal. And if I did that with Daredevil in MCU, I think we'd all go, it's not the Netflix one. It's not.
Yeah, we would.
So our final topic for today is really Shang-Chi and the kind of the spark surrounding that, the excitement surrounding that. I think it's really exciting. For me, like many others, I wasn't hyper aware of Shang-Chi before the movie was announced. I had to do my research into him, had to have a look around where he was in the comics, and I found out his first appearance was in Marvel Special Edition issue 15. Then he reappeared in issue 16 before moving to his own title comic as the Master of Kung Fu. And that ran for 109 issues, which is pretty decent and very exciting to read. I've read a couple of them in preparation for this, and
cool.
very, very enjoyable. And since then, he's had a few small runs in different kind of capacities. From 2009 onwards, there's been a few kind of one-offs or small runs, but it never kind of really got to the 109 issues like we saw before. But there's definitely the potential for that now, because this film's coming out. And before we get into talking about the new issue that we're going to talk about later for a special surprise, I want to talk about the director. And I think this is really important because I think especially nowadays we respect the direction of different films more and more, and the difference that directors can bring to it. For example, I look at Justice League, you look at the two cuts and you're thinking how the difference that someone's perspective can have on a series or a movie. And the director's called, I think that's how you say his name, Destin Daniel Cretton. And he's only really done one other blockbuster film before, and that was called Just Mercy, that had Michael B. Jordan and Jamie Foxx, who are no strangers to the superhero world. It'll be really interesting to see what he brings to this, and it'll be really interesting to see with how it will fit into Phase 4 and how it will work around the other characters. I'm really excited for this because, as I said, haven't heard too much about it, but it's a character that I'm willing to kind of fall in love with. Similarly to what we were talking about before with the Marvel shows, the Netflix shows, it kind of gives me the Iron Fist vibe. That kind of vibe. And obviously they have had appearances together, so it's going to be really exciting.
Oh, have they? I was gonna like literally ask like what other characters or heroes has Shang-Chi appeared with in the MCU, and obviously we just said about Iron Fist not being necessarily in the MCU. Do you know like anything else that Shang-Chi's been in with other heroes that are currently in the MCU?
Yeah, I mean, it literally so many.
Wow.
I've got down here, he's been with the Avengers, Bioweapons Society, Agents of Atlas, MI6, Marvel Knights, Heroes for Hire, Secret Avengers, Protectors, Underground, like so many different kind of partnerships. And he's had very strong partnerships with quite a few of these. And the most interesting one to me from that list is the Avengers, because it opens up that if Shang-Chi was never kind of associated with them at all, you kind of question his appearance in Phase 4 as mainly in terms of how will this fit into the bigger picture, but because we know that he has been written with them before, I think it opens up a lot of possibilities for really exciting things heading into Phase 4.
Yeah, he's one of those characters that basically have just been forgotten about in the comic books and not being a big deal, and they've gone, actually, we want to make him a big deal.
Yeah.
Whether that's to do with representation, that might be a part of it as well, because we don't have many Asian characters in the MCU, which I think it'd be really good to have Shang-Chi in there.
Yeah.
And not sort of caricatured as well as a stereotype, because actually he's a badass. Like,
yeah,
his comic book's called The Master of Kung Fu. Like, and so I'd be interested to see what his powers are though as well. I mean, I'm just assuming he's got powers. He might just be like really badass, but like, do you know if he's got any like powers or anything like that?
The best thing about him is he is just really badass. He doesn't have powers. He's had times in comics where he's had powers temporarily on different kind of series and so on, and not him himself having powers permanently in those series, but he gains powers for a short period of time. However, him and himself doesn't have any powers, and that's what makes him such an interesting character. I was reading up on it, and I saw that he's, because of his mastery of Kung Fu and his use of Chi to make himself go past the normal kind of limitations of humans and so on, he doesn't have powers, but because he's mastered Chi, he's mastered Kung Fu, he can train beyond the limitations of normal humans.
Oh, okay.
And because of that, a lot of Marvel characters have actually gone to him for training or to spar with him. I think I saw that Cap's sparred with him, Spider-Man, Wolverine, just like
Wolverine.
Really, Wolverine. Hugh Jackman. Can't say Hugh Jackman.
No, what have you done?
But it's just such a exciting character, and it's like you said, there's not much representation for these kind of Asian characters coming into the MCU. It's not. We're beginning to see that representation start to come through, and I think it's important that it comes through strong, like you said, and not as like a caricature, because he is a badass character. He's going to be played by a badass actor. I think it's called Simu Liu. Yeah. I might have had the pronunciation of that wrong, and I apologise if I have. Mate. But from what I can see from his other films, he is a badass actor, and I feel like this has potential to go past any kind of claim of tokenism in terms of we have to have an Asian character in here, we have to have a black character in here. I think that's amazing that they're going to break through in their own right.
Well, so this is the issue I have with DC, which is something we haven't prepared for at all, but the issue I have with DC at the minute is they've just announced that Henry Cavill is no longer going to be Superman, and they're going to bring in a black Superman, which on its own, like, people talk about this all the time. It all started for me back in Harry Potter when the stage show for Cursed Child got announced and a black actress was playing Hermione, right? And people were going through the book saying, she's not black, she's not black. And I think my main thing then was like, it doesn't matter. Like, it really does, it has no bearings on the character. But with Superman, I don't have an issue that Superman's black. I have an issue that they've kind of just gone, oh, okay, the people of colour want a superhero that represents them, so we're just gonna like give you a black Superman. Where there are so many other black characters who could be really great. Like Green Lantern has some really good like black Green Lanterns. That'd be amazing to have that. Like Green Lantern is not a character in the DCU right now, so bring him in. Like, have this super strong, like Green Lantern is literally one of the strongest heroes in DC. Like, he just is. Like, his ring is only limited by his imagination. Why not bring him in to do that? Whereas, look at the thing with Sam Wilson, Captain America. They haven't just gone, okay, here's a black Captain America. They've gone, this story has been brewing since Captain America 1. And it's got comic books like precedent in it where he hands over the shield. That's what's happened. We're taking that out of an arc. And it's so much more, I think, beneficial. The whole thing with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, the whole story arc of the racism within it, the whole stuff with Isaiah Bradley, like, it was just perfect. Perfect in the way, for me, in the sense of I can see how that's so natural, and I've seen nothing but praise about it as well from wider communities and people of colour. Like, they're enjoying that because Marvel has spent some time going, no, like we want to do this right, and we want to give you the time and the story to air some of that struggle. So yeah, really excited for Shang-Chi. I'm excited that he doesn't have any powers.
Yeah.
For me, like just the fact he's like, no, I'm badass. No, so what do you do? No, I'm just badass, mate. No, you must do something. Like, I do webs. You know, he does this whole thing with the time stone. Like, what do you do? I'm just gonna kick your ass. Like, that's all I know. I just. So yeah, I'm excited for that as well. And so going off that, we have a giveaway. We are doing a giveaway every single one of these weekly catch-ups. And our first week's giveaway is going to be issue 1 of Shang-Chi to 2021. So the new one that's coming out. So if you want this, you want to start this series, we're going to send it out to you. And all you've got to do is subscribe, like the video, comment down below your best thing that we've mentioned. It's going to be a bit of a long video, so comment down what was your favourite thing, what's something you agreed with, something you disagreed with, and we'll pick someone at random at the end of our next video, and we'll announce at the end of our next video, and we'll send it out to you. So Joe, I think that's it for this week, our first week. How do you think it went?
Exciting is the word for me. I think we had a chance to really unload into some of these amazing new kind of releases and announcements going on in the MCU right now. It's just exciting, and I'm looking forward to each week kind of digging into what we find out more and more about these different kind of things and seeing how they progress and the things that come out close to the time. So yeah, I think it's been a really exciting episode, yeah.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for joining us. Make sure to subscribe, like, and comment down below if you want to be entered into that giveaway, or even if you don't, even if you just think, oh, I want to catch next week's episode, then make sure to subscribe. Thank you so much, and we'll see you soon.